You know, I've been doing comedy for a few months now, but that doesn't really keep the lights on, so I have to take a second job, and I work over at an Amazon plant. And working over there is always really weird because you get people who are always kind of ill-motivated going, but then you got some people who are like, you know, they're motivated, not a care in the world. So I remember I go up to them and I ask, like, hey, what do you got to be happy about? It's like, oh, what have I got to be happy about? Oh, I'm going to take all these presents and I'm going to donate them to the needy and the poor. I'm going to give all those children toys and blankets who can't afford. And they had to fire him because he was supposed to be the janitor. I was reading this self-help book recently. You may have heard of it. It was a really popular book called Atomic Habits. Basically, the book is about building these really small habits that gradually increase the quality of your life through very little tasks. Yeah, I read it, and by the time I was done, I was panhandling on the interstate trying to smoke crack. Yeah, it turns out I got a misprint. This is probably the craziest story that's happened to me recently. What happens is, I actually saw a guy who was getting mugged, and then the mugger, he pulls out his weapon, and then the guy who's getting mugged, he pulls out his weapon, and then I realize I'm in a prime opportunity for a sneak attack, so I just kind of run up, and then BAM! I just completely stopped that whole mugging, and, well, I just made it all very easy, and I think the guy learned his lesson. Not to be rude to the guy who was mugging him. You know, I've been watching a lot of this show recently, this old show, you may have heard of it. It's called To Catch a Predator, and it's about these guys, reporters and police and some such, going to take these sex offenders off the street. And what happens is they catch them in these sting operations, and there was this one guy in a sting operation who turned out to be an IRS agent. Which is one of those weird cases, because that's just one of those things where being a pedophile is actually an improvement. You can probably tell by looking, but I'm not the best at basketball, especially in my younger days when we had a pickup game during recess. Only lasted 15 minutes, and guess how much they beat us by? 30-0. And to add insult to injury, this one kid just right on my foot as he goes out. And this really sucked because he was in that stupid wheelchair. You know, I was at the video game museum not too long ago, and then there was this really weird holdover back from one of those educational games, you know, the ones that taught you how to type. And you had to type these words in order to kill the zombies that were on the screen, and I don't know, that just doesn't strike to me as all that practical. Damn it, they got Carson. It was his own damn fault. He just couldn't type chrysanthemum. I've been thinking a lot about famous quotes recently, and one thing I noticed about famous quotes is that nobody ever chooses to use their famous quote as a non sequitur. You know, nobody uses one thing that has nothing to do with the other thing. So I think that's what I want my most famous quote to be. Well, you see, son, if you go walking down that road in Cincinnati and you find yourself a gay duck, then it means it's probably time to go get some Windex. This might sound hard to believe, but I was actually a really good painter as a kid, and this is a true story. I remember I used to get all kinds of people coming up to me as a kid during class saying, "Hey Ian, I couldn't find your camouflage painting." Ah, gee, thanks. So I just got back from the gym. I'm trying to lose weight because I've put on a couple of pounds, you know. And while I was over there, I actually found out about this new trail mix that's supposed to lead to rapid weight loss. It's really wild. Yeah, they're calling it bulimix. I have a friend of mine who suffers from depression. He was a friend of mine, Asian guy. And whenever I see him, I just can't help escape this feeling of just absolute dread, you know? It's really sad. And his name was Adam Long. And I remember every time I see somebody who's really sad, I just can't keep thinking of Adam, and I just like to come up to them and I just say, "Hey, why the long face?" I went to the doctor recently and I found out this weird thing. I don't know if you guys know this, but apparently there are two different kinds of sugar. There's like good sugar and then there's bad sugar. And I don't know about you guys, but this really pissed me off because I have no idea how you're supposed to tell the difference between good sugar and bad sugar. And I remember as I finished that thought, my uncle came up from behind me and kissed me on the lips. And all I could remember thinking was, bad sugar. I used to play really rough as a kid during recess, and some might say a little too rough. Like, I remember back in the day in second grade, me and my friends used to get together and play tag, you know? And this one kid, get this, was so afraid of me that he actually went and jumped right into the pool just to get away. So, you know, I chased after him, and then I climbed out, and I just looked down going, great, there goes the golf cart.
I think I'm starting to figure out why I can't get any dates. It's really the face, you know? I can't help it. I look like a supervillain. People look at me and they see the albino Megamind. That's my problem. And it's just the way I look. Women always think that I'm coming up with evil schemes or have some sort of diabolical plot. And I remember I always look at them and I say, look, I only led those orphans across the highway once. All right? And here's the thing. I had to stop them because they were about to go into a family restaurant. Never interrogate a donut shop owner. Their logic has so many holes in it.
So my roommate's been telling me that I really ought to clean the bathroom, and I've been putting off cleaning it for just so many weeks at this point. And I remember it just kept going on, and nothing ever got done. Finally, I decided to knuckle under, and I cleaned the whole thing. I don't know what I was so scared of. I had a great time. I got some time to myself, and yeah, I can't wait to clean it next year. Well, I hope you guys are having a good day today. Me, it's been pretty wild. I got some family drama. I found out that my mom's sister used to be an arsonist. Great. So now I got a fire ant problem. So apparently Donald Trump is releasing his own version of the Bible now, and if you don't know what it looks like, it's right there. He's holding it. So I thought, just for fun, we could go through a couple of verses of the Donald Trump Bible. All right, let's get to it. And so Noah loaded 2 of every animal onto the ark. He saved 2 of every animal. How incredible is that? He even saved those stupid geese that nobody likes, but he does because he's awesome. Noah was a great, great man. Not quite as great as the greatest man. I think you all know who we're talking about. Your friend and mine. He was the little Jew who got off that piece of wood, Uncle Jesus. And if you don't know who this great, great man is, this Jesus Christ, he's right here. Oh, isn't he beautiful?
I really like being out in nature, but sometimes the nature lovers can be a bit much, you know, vegans, that sort of thing. And I remember I had this vegan friend of mine that was trying to show me the dangers of meat by showing me this picture, or this video rather, of a bunch of cows getting chopped apart in a slaughterhouse. And I'm like, ugh, that's brutal and disgusting. And then he tried to show me this video documentary of how beautiful nature is with this alligator trying to eat a gazelle. And I'm like, that's brutal and disgusting.